don't want to just set things on fire willy-nilly.
Mm-hmm.
But I ended up getting an art supply today for the first time ever. I bought black gesso
Ooh.
because I covered this one. This is canvas. So I had it covered in raw canvas. And I went, you know what? I want it black to go with the monster faces.
Nice.
So I was like, oh, I got some black paint. I was like, let me try out black gesso. So for those who don't know, gesso, Gesso, is usually white, and it's usually a primer for canvas. So when you're painting on canvas, you get some gesso, and you paint this white paint on first, and that seals the canvas. Because if you tried to paint like with oil paint on raw canvas, it would soak up all of the oil paint, and you also wouldn't get a smooth surface. So, for centuries, artists have been using gesso as a primer, and now it's made. I don't know what it used to be made out of, but now it's an acrylic usually.
Mm-hmm.
So you put that on your canvas first. So I said, you know what? Let's try some of that on this raw canvas of the book I'm making, the notebook. And I actually printed my own lined paper because I couldn't find lined paper that I liked. I'm like, let me try printing it. Oh, there's a little bit of smudge on the first page. Oh, well, that ain't coming off.
Yeah. So we all have our habits as artists, kind of a thing. Every sketchbook that I get, I never draw on the first page. I just flip it and then move on from there. And it's just like all my sketchbooks are like that. I don't know why. Maybe I'll put my name on it, but that's
a lot of times I'll put stickers on the inside, like just if someone happens to give me stickers,
right?
I'll put them on like the inside front cover and the first page.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, you're right. I don't think I draw on the first page much at all.
Yeah, I usually just
gotta be blank.
I did it since high school. Like It's like I can't draw on the first page. Don't just it's like every first page. No, that's where the masterpiece goes. That's where when you open up the sketchbook, that's where everyone's supposed to see and go, oh, this is going to be a great ride in the sketchbook. That is too much pressure for no reason. Pressure that doesn't exist, but I made up as an artist. So I move on, and then I can continue. I can work on the pages.
No first page.
No.
Do you write on the first page of a notebook, Paolo?
Depends on the notebook. The high quality ones, the first page doesn't open well.
I write on the first page of a notebook. It's the sketchbooks that I don't write on the first page.
I'm just
notebooks are just paper, so I just start writing.
Like my Moleskine notebook has a place for your address on the first page.
Right.
So
yeah, stuff like that I do fill out.
And then the lines don't start till the second page. So you're not even supposed to write on the first page. That's your end paper on this one.
There was a time when I managed to accumulate 7 Moleskine notebooks from media presentations. I was giving them away. Hey, you want a Moleskine? What for? To write on. Who writes?
I can't even remember when I discovered them.
Oh.
It's got to be in the 21st century sometime. I don't think I ever saw one, and I never even heard. They only started making them again at a certain point. I don't know when. Because I think they were like an old brand, and then they disappeared for decades. And then like in the late 90s or early 2000s, someone revived the brand.
Yeah, I only knew of them from the late 90s, early 2000s. And that was, I think, because they were popping up in Barnes and Nobles, and then early internet talked about them. And I think I've only ever owned 2 or 3. And one of them was like One was made for, I guess, storyboard artists
Uh,
because they had little, they had that TV set kind of a shape, pre-made, and then you're
okay.
supposed to do your thumbnails in it,
Right.
and then take little notes. And I found that it was because it was a small size that it wasn't useful for me. Just trying to get it to open and to sketch in it, and it's like, no, I'm not making storyboards, so to me it was like this was kind of useless for me
Yeah.
because it's not even the same shape as a comic book panel, let alone anything that I could really use it for. So I sketched in it a few times and then was like, this is not for me.
My favorite line about moleskins it must be 20 years old now. I can't remember the name of it. It was a British TV show about a walking club. I think there was only a couple seasons of it, maybe 10 episodes. But the one guy was like, Moleskin, the notebook for people with more money than sense.
I don't know. I got them for free. I don't know how much they cost.
They're a more expensive notebook. Captain Finity's here.
Welcome.
And Tit Goblin, I sold the notebooks a few years ago when they asked for a contact. I drew one on the first page to bake it in so they couldn't ruin it anymore or have fear of the first blank page. There we go. Get something on that first page.
That's right.
Well, here in this black one that I just made, I got monsters early on. Monsters.
Excellent.
Monsters. I had to. It's got a strange feel to it. This gesso. It still feels damp or wet, even though it's not. I might have to put another coat on. It picks up dirt really easily too. I notice it's like there's like fingerprints and glue prints. And look, I just made it and it already looks dirty, even though it's black.
Yeah.
We'll have to see what we can do with
Yeah,
it. But I like the way this
varnish
one
or
came out.
something on it. A sealer.
This one's a straight up 5x7. Opens up flat. Glued binding with sewn. And by the way, if you ever see old timey books that have ridges there, that's
Right.
to cover up the thread.
Mm-hmm.
So
Again,
that's how they bound things.
being on a similar TikTok feed as you are, I
Uh-huh.
did stumble onto a guy who talked about the old books and how they were made. It's like, that makes perfectly good sense why that would look that way.
Mm-hmm.
Even finding out, because I'm almost sure it wasn't until I was an adult that I found out that a lot of books were sold bindless, so you can decide what you wanted for your library, your own home library, to have all the books matched. And I thought that was wild as well.
And I made 2 more blackout poetry books. Got these down pretty well too.
You should try selling those at book festivals.
Yeah.
In fact, I think you'd probably sell more at book festivals than at Comic Cons.
Oh, definitely.
You could sell those at Mocha.
Yeah.
Those would sell at Mocha more than any comic book you would bring. Those would sell at Mocha. Hell, you can even call that make your own comic book by scratching out the words you don't want.
Make your own comic.
Make your own comic strip by removing what you don't want, and now it's the perfect script.
I could do that with my comic strip. Just print them without any writing in them.
There you go.
Write your own comic strip. There you go.
Exactly.
Some people talking. Make them say funny things to each other. Did you make it to the comic shop this week, Wilson?
As a matter of fact, I did not. Between just being way too busy, I took today off.
Okay.
Because it is a holiday. And so since a lot of my friends who have daytime jobs had the day off, we all met up to have lunch.
Oh, cool.
So it was we went up to Terrytown to a soul barbecue place. and it's called Picnic, like picnic, barbecue in Terrytown, New York, and wonderful food. Tiny place, but really good food. But it was a chance for us to like hang out for a day, or at least for a few hours,
Right.
to take our lunch. So I wanted to make sure I got all my work done. So I didn't have to worry about today, and then whatever I missed, I could do over the weekend. But at the same time, it was like between making sure I got all the work and not wanting to travel into the city during the parade.
No.
So it was like I'm going to end up missing going to the shop because I got back today fairly early, but I don't think I would have been able to get to the shop and then get back here in time. So it's like for the show. So it's like I'll miss the shop and then go next week. So there'll be a few more books waiting for me.
And Tarrytown's got a train station, so easy to get to for you.
My buddy Eric actually picked me and my brother up, and drove us up there. But we could have taken the train.
Yeah.
Tarrytown is the next town over from. I used to go to Dobbs Ferry for college, so I know the area well, and for a good 5 years I was in that area. So it's like I could have taken the Metro North up fairly easily if I had to.
Yeah, that's the station I go to when I take the Metro North into Grand Central rather than Penn Station and Jersey Transit. So I go across the bridge to Tarrytown.
Right. It's a faster ride, I would assume.
A little bit more expensive, too.
Yeah.
It's like twice the price because of parking.
Right.
Captain Infinity, I'm outside with my A3 sketch pad right now. Some people are so sketchable. There you go.
Captain Infinity should only sketch people who know the 3 laws of time travel. Going back to comic strips, I tried reading some Blondie comic strips.
Yeah?
And I don't get it.
What time period did you pick?
1930s.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. Oh, okay. I have attempted to read very early comic strips, like Thumbelina, because of Popeye. And I sat there and I read stuff, and it's like I get some of the stuff is funny, but there's been strips that I've read. Like sometimes I'll get like a collection of stuff, like the early strips of how it started, and between cultural language or maybe old timey speak isn't there. It's like I don't understand. Is this actually funny or not?
The thing is, the adventure strips, they're fine. If I read Prince Valiant or Buck Rogers from back in the day or Tarzan, I can read them.
Gasoline Alley from the 20s is brilliant. If you've never read that, really, really good.
Okay.
Thimble Theater becomes funny as soon as Popeye comes in. I don't give a crap about all the Wild Brothers.
The very first strip with Popeye is fun. It's generally funny.
I used to read Blondie as a kid in the 70s, and it was just a gag a day strip then. There was nothing to it but a gag a day. So there was nothing to not get.
Right. And they said that, if I remember correctly, because Blondie is the one that eventually it started off as a different type of comic strip.
She was a young flapper.
Yeah, and
then started 20s. She was a young flapper, and it was about a young flapper in the 20s. And eventually, she met Dagwood, settled down, got married, and it became like a family strip.
Yeah, it's like it became a different type of strip.
Yeah.
And I've only ever read when they were together.
Right, and listen, by the time the 70s were around, like it was a gag a day. It was like every other gag a day strip there. You couldn't help but get it. Good evening, missing Mars.
Hello.
Good evening, gentlemen. Good evening.
And then there's one that's Carrie Drake. Now, Carrie Drake started in 1941, I think.
Don't know that one.
But it's a police officer.
Okay.
It's pretty standard. It's a lot less bloody than Dick Tracy, and no weird characters, and less violence. It's more, but it's the procedural fails a little bit. The thing is, it's so boring with the original creator, and it's only when his ghost artist becomes the main artist that it starts getting somewhere.
Yeah. It's also sometimes it's just tough to read these comics that you were supposed to read one a day. To read them like a story flipping pages just doesn't work as well. Just because you were meant to read them one a day amongst a whole bunch of other stuff. So sometimes it's like just how you. And it took me. Sketching. Are you an artist? Just Kevin. Nope.
No, I'm a BBC TV signal inspector. No, that's the thing. You know that because you have to pay the TV license.
Nope, I'm the chief of time travel police. This is a hobby.
Yeah.
Like, it took me, I got to say, up until a few years ago to really get Crazy Cat.
I was going to mention Crazy Cat. Go on. I will come back.
Over the years, I've bought Crazy Cat books and tried to read, and it really didn't resonate with me. And then a few years ago, I tried, and it was kind of like each strip is disconnected from every other strip. Every Crazy Cat strip, despite there being recurring motifs, is its own world. And each strip plays by its own rules. So I was always expecting it, like every other comic strip. I guess my expectations were like every other comic strip. It's the world that is created and stories take place in this world. And all the stories kind of take place in the same world, not in Crazy Cat. Though there's, of course, continuity in terms of what the characters look like, what they're doing, but each strip is its own world. And nothing from the previous strip continues except for Crazy Cat getting hit by bricks, by the mouse, Ignatz. And those motifs repeat, but every time it's new kind of thing. Even though Officer Pup, is that his name, always expects Ignatz to throw bricks at Crazy Cat, it's like he's never done it before. And there's no consequence. Like, even when he's dragged off in chains, it doesn't matter to the next strip. Sometimes for a few strips, he's in the police station, but nothing matters. It's like every strip is its own world. And once I kind of came to that conclusion, I got it a lot better.
Interesting.
And I enjoyed them a lot better.
When I was younger and looking at comic strips, getting into them, I discovered comic books when I was in 6th or 7th grade. But every time I went to like the local library in New Rochelle, they had a not comic book section, but they did have comic strip stuff. The classics and stuff like that. And they would be a big book that would just be full of comic strips from different eras. And I would read the funny ones that I could click to. But Crazy Cat, I really enjoyed the artwork, and I could just stare at it. But when you read it, I just could not understand what was happening. and taking it in the mindset, as you said, that it needs to be its own thing, that helps a little bit. But I found it incredibly hard to read the words because they were stylized to the dialect of the time period, and it was just such I didn't know what the word would have been. Even if I could pronounce it, I wasn't really sure what they were trying to say. But I so enjoyed looking at the artwork. And it was like, so looking at that, not knowing any of the information, and I also kind of ignored whatever text was in the book because that's what the book was about. Probably not necessarily dissecting the strips, but giving us a little history. That stuff I ignored. I went right to the artwork, right to the strips themselves. And unfortunately, that's one of the few books that I know that I read as a kid that I don't remember the name of it, so I cannot look it up again. Unlike the Superman one from the 60s, 70s, those books I've read those quite well to eventually be able to look for them and find them and get them. But it was like again one of those things like trying to find comic books in a library, and very few of them existed.
Right. Sleepy says, I like Crazy Cat, but I have no urge to read every year of its publication. Endless variations of one joke. Whereas I can read year after year of Peanuts. As I was just saying with Crazy Cat, when I finally got it, which was just a few years ago, I tried reading Crazy Cat. You have to, every Crazy Cat is its own world. You have to forget every Crazy Cat when you're reading this Crazy Cat, you have to forget every other Crazy Cat you've read. And then new things happen all the time in a way that's hard to explain when you try to see them as a continuity. When I saw them as a continuity of Crazy Cats, I was like you. I was like, I don't need to see this one joke one more time.
Right.
Or when I stopped thinking about it as a continuity of, and I don't know how I did that. I don't know how one day I just read Crazy Cat a few years ago. Well, let's just read this one. And each one became its own world and became richer than if I tried to make a continuity out of it. It's weird. It's really weird. But I think that's what whenever I read about fans of Crazy Cat, I think they get that too. And I think I must have picked it up from them. So, but it's like, it's weird because like Sleepy said, that's exactly how I felt about it. It was okay. But it was only a few years ago when I went back and read it again. I was like, oh, wow, I'm really enjoying this. Because like I said, every strip is new. Anything that happened in the strips before does not matter, does not exist. Each strip is a whole new Crazy Cat world. Even if things do repeat themselves, they repeat themselves in weird ways that somehow you notice when you forget about the other ones. I don't know what that is. I don't know how to describe that.
And would the art style be considered surrealism?
It's around there, yeah. It's more. I don't know if it's more southwestern than surreal. Crazy Cat sounds crazy, but would love to see you show some. I'll have to do a video on Crazy Cat one day, see what I have. And I think because it might be considered surreal, but only because the Southwest has a real dreamlike landscape. Like the landscape of the desert in the Southwest of the United States with all its buttes and long horizon lines and cactuses is very dreamlike. And that's what surrealism is. Surrealism is very dreamlike. So I don't think he was trying for surrealism.
Right. It was just that was the place he put them. And that naturally. Okay, I never thought of it that way. But once you said that it's practically a Western, that makes more sense to it.
Right. Because if you said Crazy Cat in, Seattle, it wouldn't be dreamlike. But since it's in, the Southwest with all its strange landscapes. Crazy. And there've been lots of reprints of Crazy Cat too, in lots of different formats.
Yeah, every now and then you see them pop up, and it's like, do I want to try it this time?
You do. Give it a try.
Yeah.
Listen, last time I got to tell you, I tried Crazy Cat in the 80s. I tried Crazy Cat in the 90s. I tried Crazy Cats in the aughts. I don't think it was until the teens that I really got Crazy Cat. It might be a bit Dadaistic. No, I wouldn't say it's Dadaistic because Dadaistic was much more nihilistic. Much for those of you who don't know what Dada is, which eventually made it into Surrealism. Dadaism came out of World War One. Dada is a funny word. Yeah, it's supposed to be. And Dadaism was in literature, was in arts, was in all sorts of stuff. And the idea was it was a post World War One movement. And the idea was these guys were, of course, all of Europe was utterly traumatized by World War One because millions of people died in a stupid, pointless war. And it was a trench warfare too, so
Right.
that was no fun. So the Dadaists said, and it was also, France, England, Germany, who were all the pinnacle of Western civilization. So the Dadaists said, if the pinnacle of Western civilization leads to World War One, then it's corrupt to its core. And we should undermine Western civilization. And since they were artists and writers, they chose to undermine the arts in writing and anything else they could think of. So they would like a Dadaist poem. One of the famous ones was a guy just roaring for 20 minutes. So they just came up with every crazy thing they could think of and called it art just to subvert art. So I don't think that Crazy Cat was trying to do that. There was no so with Dadaism there has to be subversion. And though I think the movement actually was successful, it did subvert Western civilization and it changed the way people saw art. I got a whole idea there how it changed art from an object to a perception, but it's a whole other discussion. But being that sort of it was a dead end, because, if you didn't bring down Western civilization, what were you going to do next year? Are you going to keep trying to bring down Western civilization? You're kind of banging your head up against it. But Duchamp actually did that. He quit making art. That was his ultimate Dadaist statement. He quit making art. But one of the things, all that silly nonsense led to Surrealism and the dreamlike imagery of Surrealism. But people like Dadaism just because of its silliness. They really didn't understand the subversion of it. A lot of modern people don't understand the subversive nature of Dadaism. They just like the silliness of it.
Mm-hmm.
Alice Cooper has an album called Dada. Well, Crazy Cat is subverting something. It was subverting white supremacy, maybe, because George Harrison was black, and I never knew that until fairly recently. Nobody knew that.
Nobody knew that. That was one of the interesting things I watched. One of the documentaries that came out, and even the documentary is like, we're not positive, but we believe because he did these particular things, he was hiding the fact that he was a black man. So it's like fascinating to watch. Yeah. And it's like, the whole thing could very well been,
and he was
his thing.
Who was it? The head of the newspapers. I can't remember his name, but he was, I think, the one that Citizen Kane was about. He was
Hearst?
Yeah, it may have been
Randolph Hearst.
It may have been him. He was his favorite cartoonist, so he just gave him a lifetime deal, and he could do whatever he wanted. Yeah, Hearst. Yeah. The landscape is changing constantly. Love is cruel and inescapably repetitive. Yeah, definitely. William Randolph Hearst. Yeah, I think that's. I think he was his favorite cartoonist. That's why. If not him, it was another newspaper mogul. But I think it was Hearst. But he could just do whatever he wanted. He didn't have to please anybody except himself. So that was interesting. Let me show you a comic I got this week.
What you get? I did not have even time to see your videos of the comic books you picked this week, so I'm seeing this all for the first time.
The first one is Excommunicated by Vault, and I think I'm going to put this one. There's a nice scary horror picture.
Ooh.
She looks like she came out of what's that thing where they eat people? Manga where they eat people.
There's the demon of the story, and there she's the excommunicated nun who's getting choked. And though I think he might not be a demon. And the demon was like, "Hey, if you want me to kill this guy, let me possess you for a little bit. I promise I'll leave." And he actually did, because like the first issue, Comics Progressive. I have over 100 Crazy Cat Sundays in my collection and several hundred dailies. Wow. Nice. Yeah, I've never seen. I have books, but I've never seen like the original newspaper ones. Like in the first issue of this, the lead character is a nun. She gets a call from a priest who's doing a exorcist. She goes to help out the priest. He's like, "What are you doing here? I didn't call you." And then things go badly. The priest dies. The nun gets excommunicated because she wasn't supposed to show up. And at the end, we see the demon, and he's like, as this guy is breaking in, this masked guy is breaking in to kill the nun. And it ends with like the nun in mid-strangle with the demon showing up. So that's how this one starts. And it turns out that like I think he actually said he's not technically a demon, so I don't know what he is, but he's not. He's been barred from hell, so he's a little upset. And he's like, "You know what? Someone said," he said something like, "No, this is just supposed to be our garden variety exorcism, our garden variety possession hero. The guy gets possessed. Actually, just no one was supposed to die. This is just what we do for fun."
Yeah.
Like no one was supposed to die. So he's like, the demon comes to the conclusion that someone set them up. So he wants to team up with the excommunicated nun. She's like, "No, I don't need you." He's like, "Well, I'm hanging around. We may as well team up." And he's also a shapeshifter, so he can come in different forms. And so she eventually agrees to team up with this demon, not demon thing. So. And they have a little adventure this issue, so we'll see where it leads. But I think I'm putting this one on my pull list. I really enjoyed this second issue.
Very nice.
Do people have a favorite comics newspaper strip? Crazy Cat says Sleepy. I'll give you the, what is it? 4 or 5. There's Peanuts, Calvin and Hobbes, Far Side, and Doonesbury are the 4 greatest comic strips of my lifetime. And after finally having read Gasoline Alley, I'll put that up there with those 4. Even though it was before my lifetime. Those to me are the 5 greatest comic strips. Doonesbury, Peanuts, Gasoline Alley, The Far Side, and Calvin and Hobbes. Even though The Far Side isn't a strip, technically.
I would definitely agree with you on The Far Side and Calvin and Hobbes because I own books on those. Those are definitely in my collection. And it basically goes Calvin and Hobbes and Far Side. I don't think there's anything in between those. Bloomsbury?
Bloom County.
Bloom County.
County is good.
Yes. those are the three that I would say are my favorites, only because I own volumes
Right.
of them, and like I would get excited because I bought those when they came out.
Yeah.
So it wasn't the waiting for the big collection of their lifetime type of thing. No, it was like this is the book that was out this month,
Right. When it
or
came out
was
new,
it
you'd buy one.
I think yearly.
Yeah.
They may have been.
Something
And
under the bed is drooling.
right.
Was
So
the
I
name
would
of it.
get those, and those were the ones that I was reading when they were in the paper, and I remember them ending
Right.
in the paper. So those were a constant. Those might have been the only reason why I was buying the paper, was to read those particular strips. So those would definitely, I would say, be my favorites, and yeah, be the top strips because there was the whole concept of not concept. There's the whole idea. It's like what were the best, and yeah, for that time period were the best. And I probably would have liked Pogo, Pongo,
Oh, Pogo. Yeah.
Pogo. I'm pretty sure I would have liked Pogo, and um, but to go back a ways, I also read Beetle Bailey.
Yep.
Um,
I read that.
the sister strip, Lois and something. The Beetle Bailey. There was
High,
another strip.
high and
Lois.
low.
High and Lois. So I've read those. Hagar the Horrible,
Right.
Oh,
Wizard
yeah.
Bid.
because I had those small books, those small reprints of those, where
Yeah,
they were like
I
kind of
had
reprints, but they were literally cut and then rearranged to fit in those small books.
yeah, I had Hagar the Horrible in the newspaper my dad bought when I was a kid, and Hagar the Horrible was used as filler when the Big Ben Bolt or Mandrake strips weren't long enough to fill up one of the weekly black and white magazines, so they'd use it as filler as well.
And those
Another
I
page.
also would read as comic books because they would reprint those as comic books.
I was a big fan of the Family Circus too.
Yeah, those were like I'm almost sure like when I went to the comic strips, when I went through the newspaper to read a specific one, I read all the rest of
Yeah.
them while I was there. I'm
Right.
sure I ignored, or again being young at the time, not really understanding Doonesbury. Like something's happening here and it's supposed to
Right.
be funny, but I didn't get that particular satire.
Got to be a
of
little
the
older
time.
to get Doonesbury. Right.
Right. So it was like I would read it, and sometimes I knew a reason to chuckle.
Rod Stewart made a Gasoline Alley song. I don't know that one. I don't know much Rod Stewart. Calvin and Hobbes and the Far Side Rule. Yep.
Yep.
Goblin says there was a lot of local and East Coast news strips that were my favorite. Calvin and Hobbes, Garfield, and the Far Side. As a kid, I thought of as books. Oh, okay. Yeah. Comics Progressive. I'm reading Fantagraphics Little Orphan Annie books by Harold Gray. Great stuff. Real page turners. Yeah, Little Orphan Annie was still around in the 70s when I was reading, but it was dull. I don't remember. I mean, I'm sure its heyday was a lot better than, 1978. Let's see. I also love Tumbleweeds by T.K. Ryan. I know that name, but I've never read it. Tit Goblin, I have a very early memory of reading Slumberland because my grandfather kept them. But it may be a false memory because I read a bunch of them at the Smithsonian as an adult. Yeah. You may have wanted to read them. Yeah, I didn't read Little Nemo till I was in college, I think.
I've actually never read a Little Nemo story.
Oh, it's good stuff.
I read bits and pieces of it. I don't think I ever actually read a full run.
Yeah.
Type of thing. Again,
Yeah,
to me, that was kind of weird, repetitive. Of he's waking up. Why does he keep falling off the bed? I didn't get that. I didn't understand those types of things.
And that was the part where I tell you that the greatest comic strip of all time is from Argentina and lasted only for 10 years.
Ah.
And is probably the most reprinted comic strip in the entire planet. except in the United States.
What's its name?
Mafalda.
Mafalda.
It's a 6-year-old girl who makes political comments on the situations in Argentina and the world. And lasted from 1964 to 1973, and they keep reprinting the same strips, and everybody and always finding new readers.
Gee, Chitka, I think my grandfather had them pasted up on artboard, and that's what I looked at as kind of posters. Yeah, I can see that.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
His grandfather was in the printing business, if I remember correctly. Did art stuff.
Yeah, I found out years later that my mother's father worked in a print shop in the Bronx. And it's like, oh, I wasn't even aware of any kind of connection. It's like, oh, I'm into printing too. But then later on, she's like, yeah, they printed stuff like tickets and they ran numbers and things like that. So I was like, oh, great. So I don't know how legit it was.
And speaking of not in America, there was a new Phantom #1 this week that I almost bought. Then I looked at the price, and it was $7, and I was like, if this was $4 or $5, maybe I was like, So I didn't pick up the Phantom this week. I already had 8 comics.
I'm not sure if that one's a one shot. I'm not sure if that one's a one shot or
if it's $7, it must be. It's probably a one shot.
Because the previous one was also a one shot, but I think it's to be continued on this one because the plot doesn't resolve.
I was just like, I don't want to pay $7 on a lark or try something on a one. Yeah.
Hey, I used to pay $6 for the prestige formats, and I did buy them on a lark. But yeah, the thing is, they're not doing a good job with the Phantom. That I think doesn't. For some reason, it's like somebody says they're interested in doing the Phantom, and they give them the first 2 years of stories to read, which is like the stuff that never gets mentioned again. Because I was reading strips from the late 70s and early 80s when I started, and there's no Sing Brotherhood, no pirates, no Flying Squadron. It's half of the stories were in the jungle, and it's about the Bandar and Old Man Maz and the island where they have the monsters. So to me, it doesn't make sense always going with the pirate theme.
Yeah.
Right, because they only read like you said, they probably read the first 2 years and it's like, I got everything I need. Or they watch the movie.
You have to start at you don't need to read anything before 1959, and you better start reading in 1964.
Grab them later in the dollar bin. My comic shop doesn't. Well, they've got a little dollar bin that's full of comics that when they buy a collection, that junk comics that they're getting rid of. Because my comic shop specifically doesn't have a dollar bin because they don't want their customers seeing their $7 comic in a dollar bin in a month. Why are they going to continue buying $7 comics?
Mm-hmm.
So I doubt I'll see it in a dollar bin. I never. I'm not the kind of I don't like to shop for comics in terms of. You'll see a lot of the collectors love going through dollar bins. I got no interest in any of that. I'd rather read the comics than shop for them. See, Jared, if you had an unlimited comic budget, would you buy any of the big 2 stuff? Yeah, I'd try some stuff. Why not? Or at least I think I would for a little while.
Was there the facsimile of the JLA Avengers this week?
I don't know. I didn't see it. I didn't get it. #2? I think I forgot to pre-order #2. And I just put 3 and 4 on my list, and I think that also put 2 on my list, but I don't know. I'll have to find it. See if they can reorder it for me, because I want to try binding them. But I would buy some of the big two stuff, sure. But I also might not in terms of I got that a few weeks ago. From the library. If you remember, I got the Grant Morrison's X-Men one, and I think I read a good 10 issues of it. I think I read an issue yesterday, but now I'm like, why do I want to read the rest of this? There's other comics I'd rather read than Grant Morrison X-Men. So I think, and I don't, and it's like the only reason I feel I got to the place where the only reason I feel I have to read more of it is because it's a library book I have out. But I think I'm done with it. I think I'm just going to return it. Got to figure out what to take out next. So if anybody has any good recommendations for comic books I can take out of the library, you let me know. But it's like I think I might be that way. Like even if I had an unlimited budget, I'd sample some of the big two stuff. But how much of it would I really read? I'm not sure, because I might end up doing the same thing as I'm doing with Grant Morrison's X-Men here, going, all right, I'm tired of this now. I'm not going to read any more of this, Avengers story. But I definitely look at some of it. Huh. Sleepy Reader says, last I looked at the current Phantom comic, the art was very unappealing. I like the classic clean art style. Well, came out this week looked okay.
Well, if you try the daily strip and you can read it online, you'll find that it's been done by actual comic book artists for the last 30 years. And right now it's Mike Manley, who was it that did the when Manley was ill, the fill-in was
it Alex Savage?
I remember you saying it. I can't remember who.
The guy who did New Mutants for Wheezy.
Thumbs up the video, says Missing Mars.
Yeah.
I think Keith Williamson did inks on it.
Yeah, he used to ink he used to ink George Olsen. Graham Nolan did the Sundays many years ago. Paul Ryan did it until he died.
Yeah.
And that was the best.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, those were good looking years.
Friar Tuck asks, you guys ever read Dick Tracy? I read it when I was a kid in the 70s.
I read bits and pieces of it.
It was mediocre in the 70s.
I found Dick Tracy I enjoy as a concept. I really liked the design for the movie when that came out, because it was just the designs for it was just beautiful and colorful and all that. But I don't think I read many strips.
Our friend Bunch is a huge Dick Tracy fan, and he knows the exact years that are good in the early going. He knows exactly when it got good, and he's told me before, but I've never dipped my toe in it. I've always kind of meant to, because like I said, he can tell me exactly which stuff to read.
Right.
Because he's a huge Dick Tracy fan. Let's see. Iron Zero says the Phantom is 40 pages. There's another $7 one in August. The Phantom versus the Singh Brotherhood #1. Yeah. $7 for 40 pages is a fine price if it's a comic I already like. If it's a comic I'm unsure of, $7 for any amount of pages doesn't really matter if I'm not going to like those pages. So it's like if it was, the latest issue of, what did I just show? Excommunicated, $7 for 40 pages, I wouldn't bat an eye. Because I already know I like it. So that's the problem with a $7 one. Tit Goblin, he was a painter, but always pasting up things and keeping stuff for his morgue files. Ah, okay, this is grandfather was a painter.
Okay.
No, whom I'm confusing him with? Oh my goodness, his name just flew out of my head. We worked with him at Marvel. He's done this show with us.
Russo?
Darren Kane.
Mhm.
His grandfather was, I think, was a graphic artist and had all this stuff, and like he had a big graphics art studio when he died, so he had light tables and everything. I think Darren's told us. So I think
Oh,
that's what
okay.
I was confusing him with. His grandfather was the artist. I wish the big two would get better writers. Yeah, I mean, DC's doing great right now. According to everybody, they got great writers working at DC, so try them out. Which, by the way, the old original Dick Tracy is my choice. Hello, brother Friar Tuck, says Missing
Welcome.
Mark. Curious if so in Dick Tracy originals how outer space Tracy was. Don't know about that. I remember there was an outer space spirit. I remember that. Never read that one either. I love 30s Tracy so far. I didn't know there was still a Phantom strip. I only see comic books of it. Yep.
Now, there's a website that it only they only show for free the last it used to be 2 weeks, but now it's only 1 week of strips. So I go there on Saturday and read all the dailies, and on Sunday I wait for the new Sunday.
Okay.
I've gotten the Gladstone reprints in dollar bins and are really enjoying them. Okay. Dick Tracy from the 40s to the 60s are good. Friar Tuck says, and the artwork and writing up your alley for a $7. I don't know. Like I said, I looked at it, and for like $4, it would be, I'd try it out. But I looked at the price, and like $7 was also I already had a stack of 8 comic books. And that was the most expensive one. So it's like the most expensive one being one I wasn't even sure if I'd like or not. I was like, no thanks. I'm posting Outer Space DT now on Instagram. Okay. Dick Tracy. But that just reminds me of him saying, I wish Marvel and DC would hire better writers. I was watching, who was it? Dope Comics, is that his name?
Mm-hmm.
He's shown up here before. He was doing a review of the latest Firestorm #1. And at the end, he's like, remember, support modern comics. And I was like, support modern comics? You never hear anyone say that. In comics, I was like, wow, support modern comics. Wow, you always hear people say modern comics suck. I'm like, that's a good idea. Support modern comics. There's a lot of good ones out there. I don't know if that Phantom issue was one or not, but you know.
It wasn't. That's the thing. The story that they did. See, the Flash Gordon comic is great. It's a really fun read, and they moved up the timeline a little bit now. But it's space adventure, and what else do you need? It's exactly what you expect from Flash Gordon. And they've even got him wearing the original costume from the costume from the original strip. And they start doing that in Defenders of the Earth too. But the Phantom they're doing. So what are we going to do? Oh, pirates in the same brotherhood, right? I saw the movie.
Tit Goblin got the facsimile of Lobo #1 this week. It was $6. Reprint shouldn't be $6. Early Lobo is my jam.
No, for that might as well buy the new Phantom.
I'll show you a good comic I got this week.
It cost the comic book company 10 cents to print it. There is no reason for a facsimile to be that much money.
What the market will bear. Here is Of the Earth, issue #2. Chris Condon, Charlie Adler, and Andrew Eyrick. And I got to say, Charlie Adler is just a master storyteller now. I guess doing nearly 200 issues of Walking Dead, you know, he's put in his hours, and his storytelling in this is just so nice. This is the one that's about, it's a horror book, and it's a slow burn horror book. Where's their grandmother? At the end of last issue, this girl found her grandmother in her grandmother's basement. This is the one that's about wildcatters, not the independent oil men, but some sort of monster that lives in dried up oil wells. So the first issue is about this girl. I don't know how old she is, early 20s, woman. I guess she ran having some sort of crisis, so she's going to visit. She's going to stay with her grandmother somewhere in Texas. I think it is Texas, Oklahoma, wherever they have oil drills. And when she gets there, there's an oil rig in her mother's yard. She's like, in her grandmother's yard. She's like, what this? She can't find her grandmother. She eventually goes down to and some horror stuff buildup happens in the beginning too. And so she finds her grandmother in the basement, covered in oil, completely hysterical. So this issue, she tries to help her grandmother out, and she calls up the oil company. She's like, what's happening here? And the oil company's like, we don't know, we sent a guy up there. And she's like, there's an oil truck here. They're like, just like a pickup truck branded by the oil company. She's like, well, we sent one of our guys up there. I guess they got a call. So then they sent another guy up. They're like, we've got a guy in the area. He'll come over and see what's going on. So this whole issue was like her and that guy who works for the oil company trying to figure out what's going on here and spook. So it's really build up to horror. And we get a glimpse of a monster here and there, and we get a glimpse of what happened to the other oil man. But it really comes down to Charlie Adler being really good at visual storytelling. He does such a nice job setting the mood, building up the horror. His layouts and panels are excellent. So really good stuff here. I got to say, Charlie Adler's post-Walking Dead stuff has been terrific. Terrific.
So I went off to the other room because since we were talking about Dick Tracy, I completely forgot that I owned this. But I do have a Dick Tracy book that I bought used from a library a few years back. The book is in terrible condition.
That looks like one of those that was in all libraries when we were kids.
Yeah, exactly. So there is some library information still in pencil. So, the old Dewey Decimal System, it tells you where it was located, some information here. Please deposit book fact. So this, I thought it might have had a price on the inside, what I may have paid for it. But as I'm looking, the only thing I could find that is the price tag is this might have been when it was released from the library. I don't know if that's 08. That's very well possible. For $10.95, might have been what I paid for it. Or it might have even been less for that. Because, again, I did buy, there was a little bookshop in Dobbs Ferry down the street from the comic book shop that would sell used books. And that's where I actually found the Superman book from the 70s to the 80s. That or the 40s or whatever. There was 2 editions of that book. And it's like, so I bought that book there. I'm almost sure I bought this book there.
Yeah, I recognize that book, but I don't think I ever read it.
Yeah, so it was like, when we're talking about Dick Tracy, and this is what I mean by the designs of Dick Tracy, how much I really enjoy these types of designs. And I cannot say if I did, but I may have, because I never really looked into it. But I went to high school with this girl whose last name was spelled the same way. I don't know if she was related to Chester Gould, but I knew her mother was an artist. But I never found out if his children continued in art and stuff like that, or if it was like great grandfather or something like that.
Did Chester Gould have like assistants and stuff on Tracy? I assume so. I don't know much about the creation of Dick Tracy.
I do not. It's one of those things. It's like when I got this, I read some of the strips. I barely remember any of the stories, but I like this because some of them were in color. Most of the rest was in black and white. But I don't recall reading this introduction or the information that's in there. So I need to go back and reread it. Because this is going back starting like they reprinted 1931 strip, and I think they just go bits and pieces over the years. I don't know enough about Chester Gold at all. Now that I think about it, I don't even recall when the Dick Tracy movie came out, if they did any documentaries or life of the creator. Like I remember them just focusing on the strip more than how it was created. Now that I think about it,
Yeah, because we all know a lot of these comic strips have one name signed to them, but many people working on them.
right?
And, sometimes we know the people, talk about them, but I've never heard anything about Dick Tracy.
No, I never did either. It was one of those things back then that it was like, I don't know if it was a secret for artists not to have assistants.
I don't think it was a secret, but it's usually just one name signed to it. But you'll often hear stuff like, Woody Drew's Outer Space Spirit, and this person worked on that strip, and this person worked, Frazetta worked on I can't even remember.
Something World?
Lil Abner, I think Frazetta worked on some of. And he worked on, you'll hear stuff like that. But I don't think I've ever heard anything about Dick Tracy and who worked on it.
Yeah, I have not either.
Somebody's like, when Milton Caniff left Carrying the Pirates, his assistant took over. I forget his name. You hear stuff like that. But Dick Tracy, nothing.
No, not at all.
Let's see. Friar Tuck says the writing might be good at DC currently, but is the writing extensive? I'm not sure. Like back in the 70s and 80s. I'm not sure what you mean by extensive, but I did not like the writing at DC in the 70s for sure, and most of the 80s. So
not in the superheroes. You're supposed to read the mystery comics and the war comics.
Even that stuff wasn't great.
Everybody.
So to compare something to 70s DC writing is not going to get me interested in it. So I'm not sure what your taste is. I need to count. It lasts longer than 5 to 10 minutes of dialogue and visual. Plenty of comics take way too long to read these days. Don't you worry.
Or you can buy European comic and pay $25 to read all that. It's going to take you 2 days to read, but it costs $25.
Comic book writers are a lot wordier than they used to be. Even though you'll find some who aren't wordy, but some, holy cow, I'm like, geez, what happened to decompressed comics? Stop. I'm going to have to figure out what comic it was. I was in my batch this week. I was like, all right, enough already with the talking. You tell them, Friar. Totally agree. Yeah, there's the days of decompressed storytelling are long gone.
Yeah, but there's a lot of talking, but they're talking in coffee shops, so it's not because there's too much action.
Donald RX12 is his Instagram handle. Bill Locker worked on Dick Tracy in the 70s and later took over the strip. Okay, so there's a little something.
In 1940, Charlton licensed the Blue Beetle for a comic strip, and Jack Kirby goes through a few storylines. He was trying not to draw like himself, but layouts you can always tell.
Speaking of DC, coming September, Joe Kubert, 100 Years, A Life in Covers, #1. Is that going to be like I saw that like Image, I think, is publishing a Silver Age DC Comics Artist Edition. Covers. Silver Age covers from DC Comics Artist Edition. I think one of the final order of cutoff, it came in this week. So it's like $195 is the retail on it right now. So I was like, ooh, which book was I have to look now. Hold on. Let me look through my books. Babs, Battle Beast, The Beauty. Was it Dead Teenagers? Here's another one I got. Dead Teenagers, by the way. May as well show you this because I was just looking to see what this one. And it turns out this is issue 4. Issue 5 is going to be the last one. This one could go on for a while, I would say. And this is the one that they're stuck in a time loop. First, they were reliving their prom the whole time, but now something's changed, and all of a sudden they became adults. And at the end of this one, we got a creepy teacher. Let me see. Killer clowns killed them once. Tiny killer clowns killed them another time. I don't think it was this one. This one's got a normal amount of word balloon. There was one that had an excessive amount of word balloons. Maybe it was that possession one. Let me double check that. But Dead Teenagers has been good. I've been enjoying this one thoroughly. Like I said, it could go on for another 6 issues as far as I'm concerned. But it seems they're wrapping up the story. Which one was it? Let's see. 40 pages, including covers from The Brave and the Bold. Definitely going to put that. A whole bunch of covers, 40 pages of covers for $5. I'll get that.
Yeah.
Love 90s DC writing, especially James Robinson. I did not love 90s DC writing, but I read it a decade and a half later. Starman was pretty good. I enjoyed that.
Mm-hmm. And then, of course, you had the Fate with the new Dr. Fate, who was not a doctor, and Deathstroke's new uniform, which made absolutely no sense.
Yeah, I didn't read much DC in the 90s. To say I didn't like DC's writing in the 90s is a bit of an overstatement because I didn't read it. So
well,
how could I not like it if I didn't read it?
You had the comics that were on the verge of becoming Vertigo.
Yeah.
So Doom Patrol.
I read my friends' Doom Patrol issues. They were fine.
And Swamp Thing by Nancy Collins, I think. I don't think people cared that much about Swamp Thing at the time, but it was still going on. But I don't see people talking about 90s Swamp Thing like they do about the Alan Moore or the Rick Beach stories.
I know I read them all. I couldn't tell you anything that was going on with them. You know, because again, DC, I was reading a lot of the DC books and the Marvel books because we would get it with the bundle, so I read everything I got. But it was more like, I skimmed through it, read it quickly, got the story, and then kind of moved on. Never reapproached the stories to say, oh, I enjoyed this more than that. Not really. It was just, I think I was probably more interested in the books that I did buy.
Yeah.
Because
I've just been an indie guy since the early 80s. So that's my type.
The 90s crossovers.
I understand this may rub Cavern fellas the wrong way, but I enjoyed crossovers in the 90s between multiple titles, especially now, trying to complete the storylines through the discount bins.
Sometimes, it was a matter of planning, especially at Marvel. The X-Men comics the X-Men crossovers were a little over-planned, so they were a little slow. And sometimes you could tell that whoever was writing X Factor, not necessarily Peter David, didn't really care about what they were doing in the X-Men. The Operation Galactic Storm in the Avengers titles, as far as I remember, it was pretty well planned. There was one snag between in an issue of Thor that followed up an issue of Avengers West Coast because there was some miscommunication about the thing that Lil Laundra was going to do, and she ended up doing the opposite of what she said in the previous issue. But overall, it was pretty good because it's Mark Gruenwald, and it's Mark Gruenwald with Ralph Macchio as an editor. In Bob Harris writing, so that there's with Grunwald being a stickler for continuity, it was going to have some planning. I think what people disliked was the annuals, because the annuals sometimes they connected titles who had absolutely nothing to do with each other, and it's the annual syndrome where they get the fill-in artist to do the annuals, so it's not the same as the main title.
Yeah, I would also always say that they get the most even though crossovers, you'll see the most complaints about them are still the best-selling comic.
Yeah.
So someone must be liking them. And I can see, like, as he said now, collecting them now in dollar bins. I can see the attraction of collecting them now in dollar bins, too, because they're well marked. They're easy to find 90s crossovers. So, like, if you want to read something from the 90s, here's something that's, yeah, you can collect cheaply and read them in the right reading order, because usually they were clearly marked. So,
Yeah, we would get a checklist of what stories to read, how they crossed over, and it didn't feel like you had to get 75 books either.
Although Infinity Gauntlet is self-contained, Infinity War is not, because it spills over into the regular titles.
Right.
So I didn't like it as much. Infinity Crusade was pointless.
Oh yeah, they lost track of what they were doing. The Infinity Gauntlet happened to work because one, they changed the name because that was supposed to be Secret Wars 3, but that had a stigmatism of its own. So it's like, all right, change the name and to do a major crossover. And the first one worked.
Lauren Zero says, speaking of James Robinson, some of his recent stuff, Welcome to the Maynard and the Adventures of Lumen N were both a lot of fun. I don't recognize either of those titles. And Friar Tuck says, speaking of crossovers and independence, how goes the cross-gen reading, Jared? Still like Indifference, Undecided? I haven't gotten back. I read, the last things I read by crossover were the Sigil Omnibus, which I really liked. And then I think last year was the Mystic Omnibus, which I also liked. Those are the two that I hadn't read before. And then this winter, I got completely distracted by those Fireflies I was buying, which I still haven't read yet. So I haven't gotten back to cross-gen. So I think Crux might be the only one left that I haven't read. And I want to reread Sojourn, which I like, and Negation is still one of my favorites. I can reread that at any time. But haven't seen any new cross-gen. I don't think there's any new cross-gen omnibuses in the pipeline from Marvel. DC 90s annuals, Elseworlds, Pulp Stories, and Death Earth were all fun, as there were one-and-done stories using characters that people knew in different settings.
Yeah, and each story was independent, so it was a theme. It wasn't a crossover; it was a theme. So you bought the ones that appealed to you the most. I think that Elseworlds, in particular, had some very interesting reads, especially with Superman and Batman.
That's the exact stuff that doesn't appeal to me. I always described it as it's just a Batman or a Superman story in different clothing.
Yeah, and then you had the ones where they introduced new heroes both in Marvel and DC. Somebody must have heard the other one was doing it, so they all did it. And of course, you had each only had one hero going anywhere. Hitman at DC, and the new Captain Marvel, Janice at Marvel, who was still called Legacy.
I also do think that Impulse and Young Justice were ideal entry-level books for junior high school kids in the 90s. I know Impulse was popular for a long time. That was popular in the
Justice was too, fun. Right? Those books were fun. I think even though they were, quote-unquote kids books, they were, I think those are Peter David.
Yeah. And Impulse was Mark Waid.
Mark Waid.
I remember seeing a lot of Impulse, like, when I first got on YouTube, like 12 years ago, there was a lot of people collecting Impulse.
I was always under the impression Impulse, even though it had that Humberto Ramos's manga style, it was more popular with adults than it was with kids.
Yeah, everybody I knew who liked Impulse was an adult. So.
Yeah, they read like I think the old Teen Titans, that they were fun. I think that's what it was. That they wasn't world-ending catastrophes. They were just fun, interesting storylines with the superhero kids. I think that's what it was. It was just a fun read during that time. And then, for the older readers to have classic Flash characters popping up in that storyline as well, with Max and stuff like that, to, the Zen of the Speed Force and things like that. I think that was fun too.
The Zen of the Speed Force. By the way, I don't think these knots are going to hold. I just noticed another one came out on this book, and it wasn't just sitting there. I must figure out a different way to do that.
Set fire to the wax. Glue guns.
Matches right here. I pulled some matches this winter because I was like, you know what? I don't have any matches in the house. What if I need a match? And every now and then I'll just light a match. You go, oh, look at that. Fire.
Yeah. I've created fire.
Burning in the air. Dee-dee-dee-dee.
So I may try to rebind this because it is falling apart.
I know how to now.
Maybe do a new cover.
Get yourself some gaffer's tape.
I'm thinking
reinforce
of that.
The spine. Some of that.
Maybe even like trim off the black paint, the marker on there, make it just slightly smaller.
No, that's way too much work. You don't want to do that.
Is it? Okay.
Oh yeah, that big thing. So much can go wrong doing that. That's one of those things that if you had a giant trimming machine, boom,
Right,
boom,
that would
boom,
make
boom.
sense.
Trying to do that by hand, nightmare. Nightmare.
Okay.
It's easier to trim off a 1/4 inch than a 1/16 of an inch.
Right. Well, I would probably do a 1/4 inch.
And even then, on that big a book, because keep in mind, how thick is that book? That's like 1.5 inches thick.
I would say about just about an inch. What am I measuring with my hand? I have actual tools here.
Your utility knife.
An inch.
Your utility knife is only about 1/2 inch, so it's only going to go through half.
Right.
So then you're going to have to do it half at a time, and then it's never going to match up when you close it.
Yeah.
Unless you want to individually measure each page, which you don't want to do.
I don't want to. I barely want to read this. I'm not going to do that.
You're better off inking in the whole
I was thinking of that.
edge.
Just inking the whole edge.
Let's see. Peter David was another writer I enjoyed in the 90s. I was a DC guy, so his Aquaman run was very enjoyable for me, and I hear good things about his Hulk books. Even with large paper slicers we had in high school. Even with large. First of all, the problem with those large paper slicers that you had in high school in the 70s and the 80s is that nobody sharpens them. Had this problem with the paper slices at the college I teach at. If nobody's sharpening them, they don't slice that well. And plenty of crying students who went to use that paper slicer and it just dented their paper. Wrecked it. And that book's too big for a paper slicer. Once again, you'd have to do it in sections, and then you'll never get them to line up. Those sections will never be easy when you close, even when you close the book again. Peter David was one of those guys I always wanted to like his writing. Because everybody I know likes Peter David's writing. My friend Rob in the 90s is one of his favorite writers. People I know loved his writing on the Hulk. And I could, in a way, I could see it was good. But for some reason, his writing just turned me off. It was like his cleverness, which everybody loved, for some reason didn't hit me the same way. I found it annoying. I got no explanation for you. You know, it's me, not him. So, like I said, I don't. Oh, maybe sand the pages as comic. Possibly that might be. Depends on how deep the ink is. That might be the easiest way to do it, but you'd have to use a very fine sandpaper and a lot of elbow grease. Might be easier to give them gilt edges.
Ooh, that'd be kind of neat.
Gold. I wonder how you do gilt edges. I don't even know.
I don't know. Or you could do that old trick where you bend the paper and do an illustration on it, and then have it go back. Hidden art that way. I don't know if you know about that technique.
I think I have seen that. Yeah, when you open it, when
it's closed,
draw on each page, and then when you like fan the pages back a little bit, it makes a picture.
Yes.
Okay, I've never tried that.
Yeah, I've never tried it either. I barely did some animation where stick people kind of a thing on page, and flip through an animation, and that was fun. I know there was I think it was a Chuck Jones art book that every corner had a piece of animation. So when you flip through the book, it had Road running and a coyote running. I always thought that was pretty neat.
Neato. Oh, is this one coming out too?
Yeah, I don't even know if anyone would know how to sharpen one of those machines nowadays. And it's probably why it's not sharpened.
No, they don't. I do. They use a sharpening stone. But no, people don't. I actually sharpen my razor blade with a sharpening stone too. Before my X-Acto blade and this utility knife, you're just trying to match the angle. You give it a few rubs, and you're good to go. This is what I've been using for my book binding when I got to cut pages. Get yourself a sharpening stone.
Yep.
I use it all the time for my X-Acto knife too. But I can bear down a little more if I have to with the utility knife, or use the weight of the knife if it's sharp enough. And don't press at all. Let's see, what else did I get this week? The new issue of Battle Beast. Well, I think this may have been the one with a lot of talking. And of course, Conquest is there. He's a Viltrumite. And he kind of wants to fight and kill Battle Beast, but he doesn't know enough about him. So he's talking for a while. Then, of course, they get into a fight. But there is plenty of talking in this one. Even though there's plenty of fighting.
There's a panel there with a very large speech bubble, but apart from that, it doesn't seem overly verbose.
It's not especially, but I'm just saying there was a lot of conversation going on between the two.
So it's like Dragon Ball. There's a lot of shit talking.
Yeah, and even there's a lot of talking even at the end of the fight. Well, the fight didn't exactly end, but we got to the end of the issue, but not an excessive. There was one issue this week where there was an excessive amount of talking for 4 or 5 pages. I can't. Once again, I'll have to see if I can figure out which one as I go along here. But there's definitely more talking in comics than there used to be. Even those,
no
maybe
Youngblood number 100.
I did not get it. You know what? Maybe it was one of those Grant Morrison X-Men I was reading today. That
had a lot of talking.
yeah. Maybe that
Young,
was it.
Youngblood number 100 didn't have a lot of talking because for some reason Liefeld decided that the comic was going to be all narrative captions.
Ah.
So it's a bunch of pinups with narrative captions, and it's supposed to be the story where Youngblood saves the world.
How long does it extend the life of the blade if you use a stone? I have no idea. I haven't changed the blade since I started bookbinding 2 weeks ago. I've cut a lot of pages with it. I would have probably used at least half a dozen blades if I didn't use the stone, and it sharpens them right up. So I can't exactly tell you, but a lot. And it gives you confidence. Because what happens as you're using it, all of a sudden you're like, is it dull? Is it dull? As you're making cuts, you're wondering, like without the sharpening stone, I'm wondering, is it dull yet? Is it going to get dull soon? When's it going to get? Now, if that thought comes into my head, I just pick up the stone, rub it on it a few times, and it's not dull. It's not getting dull. So that's one of the things that I like using the stone, because it gives me confidence that my cuts are going to be sharp. Because I can remember, it was only a couple of years ago I started using a sharpening stone with my X-Acto blade. Only because I saw an ad for a sharpening stone. And it had a picture of things you could sharpen, like knives. And one of them was an X-Acto blade. And I'm like, how come it's never crossed my mind to sharpen X-Acto blade? And I've been sharpening X-Acto blades ever since. Because I can remember at Marvel working with X-Acto blades, and it was always like, do you want to take the time to stop and change your X-Acto blade, or do you want to keep going? That thought went through my head 5 times a day. Got to sharpen it correctly with a stone or you wreck the blade. That's what's good about it being a disposable blade. You do not have to sharpen it correctly. You just have to sharpen it. It's not a knife you're going to carry in your pocket for the rest of your life. It's a disposable razor blade. You just match the angle the best you can. And when it stops sharpening right, you just throw another one in there. So you don't have to be precious about sharpening a utility knife, because you were going to throw the blade out anyway. So that's what's good about it. Like I said, I know what you mean. Like with, especially people with the knives they carry every day, they're precious with them, and you want to get that blade just right. But with a utility blade, it's just like, zip, you're good. If it doesn't work the first time, you just sharpen it up again. There's nothing precious about it. No need to worry about correctly. Good enough is good enough, because good enough is sharper than it was a minute ago. Yeah. Support modern comics. That's going to be my new phrase too. I like that.
That's a good one.
Yeah, support modern comics. Why not? People give them a bad name. Oh, that reminds me. Do I still have that? Hold on, I guess. Scott Koblish made a comment on his Facebook page about, what can Marvel do to help improve their writing or something like that. And Howard Chaykin actually answered, and he had an interesting take on it. Let me see if I can find Koblish here.
I must have missed that
Actually,
one. I didn't see that. Most of my feed was either celebrating Wally Woods' birthday or
it was just a quick
Mark
one he put
Mark
on. Now,
Gruenwald's birthday. Oh, and there was a photo of Timely's bullpen that
ah,
popped up on the feed this week as well. Going back to like Sam Rosen and a group of people with him, a group of 6 people. That
Yeah,
I
Al
okay.
remember.
Solman. Al Solman was identified in the picture, so he's probably in somewhere around the mid-40s.
Yes.
Because Al Solman was sort of the assistant art director around the time, or assistant editor in chief.
It's from June 15th. Scott just says there's a lot of talk about what Marvel can do to up their game. I'm not really sure, but my vote for more is for more things to happen in each issue. Pages and pages of great dialogue that can be reduced to a few panels of great dialogue. And Howard Chaykin actually had an answer to him here. Where he says, as Klaus and I intuited in the early aughts when we were teaching a twice yearly seminar at Marvel, as much an issue as the artist's functional visual narrative illiteracy might have been, the greater problem was that the writers, an alarming majority of whom had no visual literacy whatsoever and no clue as to the meaning of the page's real estate and scale. We had one such meeting with a few writers, and this never happened again. This because, despite the visual nature of comics as a medium, is administered and manipulated by non artists who are the alphas hereabouts, enabled by an editorial body of men and women with no visual skills whatsoever. Many modern comic book writers see comics as a means to create a personal brand and thus transit into more commercially rich media. Comic book artists, reliant on tropes appropriate only to comics as they are stuck right where they are. I thought that was an interesting observation.
Yeah, very much so.
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
The problem with the writing in comics is writers aren't visual. And the one time he and Klaus tried to teach them to be, weren't invited back. And I thought that was also an interesting observation that when we've seen it, writers, write comics and try to parlay it into TV and movie writing, but artists can't do that.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Their skill set is comics, visualizing them. So I thought that was an interesting observation by Howard Chaykin. That the main problem with the writing at Marvel Comics is the writers being in charge of a visual medium.
Comics not necessarily having a correct method of describing scenes. I think the new crop of writers is using movie script format.
Yeah.
And it all started with Bendis.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is, Bendis knew how to be visual because he was also an artist. But most guys who just go into the movie, because guys who write movie scripts don't have to be visual. That's the director's job.
Right.
Yeah. And I've seen so many badly formatted scripts by TV writers for comic books and don't understand the concept of these 3 things cannot happen in the same panel at the same time.
Right.
It's not an animation. It's not a movie. It's not moving pictures. It's a still image. And they could not grasp how to write for a comic book.
Right, because they have takes off his jacket, puts up his I think the way they explained was takes off his jacket, puts up his hat. Well, you can't. You've already wasted two scenes in a comic book. So what you do is shorthand. You take off the jacket and the hat at the same time while you are talking about dinner with your wife in the other room, and you can see to the other room because you have to know how to draw the door to the kitchen to show the wife cooking. So you have to think like that. And what they want to do is husband talks to wife. The rest
And
they don't.
this just popped into my head too. The whole myth of Stan Lee is bad for Marvel Comics too.
I'm not sure they're doing plot to art anymore.
But what I mean by that is the artists were doing the writing.
Yeah.
But when you credit Stan Lee with all the writing, you think you don't need the artists who are visual writers. So, despite the fact that Stan Lee is famous for all his creations and writing in Marvel Comics, what he was really doing was letting the artists do the creations and visual writing and ripping them off.
Yeah.
But since the myth of Marvel Comics was the genius writer Stan Lee, that's their standard. So despite the fact that now they have a whole bunch of writers who have no visual vocabularies, they expect them to be the leaders of the comic strip when that's not actually how the company was built. The artists were the leaders of the comic book. Even in their most successful period since Stan Lee, the 90s, the artists were the leaders of the comic book. But neither Marvel nor the writers liked that. So now we're back to the writers being the leaders of the comic books, and visually, they're not as exciting as they once were. They're not bad. I don't want to, say Marvel comics are bad.
You notice how in the 70s most of DC's editors were artists, which is completely opposite to what Marvel was doing.
Right. But Marvel's editors in the 70s were loose. A lot of times,
sure. Since they were using the method, they actually did let the artists do all the visual writing.
Right.
So in the end, but when they stopped using the method, it was worse for everybody, because now they had to live with a reputation that had no basis in reality. So if they had kept doing the method, they could probably still have good stories as long as they had good artists. Of course, you also had
they're coming to get you.
They're coming to get me.
Of course, in the 90s, you had all the image style artists who begat a new generation of artists who only wanted to do pinups.
Right.
So I'm not sure how feasible the method was since then.
I will defend those artists. And I only saw this 10, 15 years later. I didn't see it at the time. I would have agreed with your assessment at the time. I don't think they only wanted to do pinups. I think they were structuring the storytelling around splash pages. When I go back and look at that now, I see it in a completely different way. The story, it used to be a splash page. Before those guys, a splash page was a punctuation mark. You'd get a big splash, like in Warlord with Mike Grell, he'd do a big splash on pages 2 and 3, and that was a boom. That was an opening statement. Then he'd go back to regular storytelling. Kirby would do a splash page as a punch in the face. Here's your storytelling, punch in the face, back to your storytelling. Those image guys in the 90s, the storytelling was the splash page. It was kind of like the story meandered, boom. But it wasn't like a punctuation. how to describe it. It wasn't like a punctuation mark. It was like a climax.
Mm-hmm.
And then you went back to whatever you were doing, and then another climax. So it was like the entire story was built around, the visual story was built around those pages in a way that it hasn't been before or since. So I don't think they just wanted to do pinups. I think they were using sort of pinups as a storytelling device.
They were, but it didn't always work.
Oh no, nothing.
I don't have my early issues of Wildcats here to show you, because Wildcats #1 in particular uses the pinups to in what makes for deficient storytelling.
I see. That's if you're reading it. Yeah, I think you have to read it in its own content. You have to read it with sort of like I had to read those Crazy Cats with a different mindset.
Mm-hmm.
Now when I go back and look at those, I read them with a different mindset and I get the storytelling more. I'm still not telling you it's my favorite storytelling. And I certainly didn't come anywhere near to getting it at the time, but I think I understand it better now. And I don't know how much of it was. I think a lot of it was just instinct by those guys.
Mm.
They just kind of wanted to build their stories around cool drawings. So you're right; it didn't work all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But go back and read some of it and think of like the story being built around cool drawings, rather than a story built to draw you in and then use all the tools at its disposal. It's a different. I just think it was a different time, and
Sure.
I look back at it differently.
Out of all the Image #1s, Savage Dragon #1 is probably the one who has the best storytelling overall.
And I think it was reading those early Savage Dragons that first, in the aughts, 10, 15 years after they came out, that first got me to observe it more, probably because his storytelling was more traditional, but it was still built around cool drawing. Whole idea was to build a story around cool drawings.
Spawn has a story there. It has the structure, but Todd is trying to do everything look mysterious and in darkness. So you have a lot of stuff the information that's hidden. He's not using for a guy who's primarily an artist. Todd was having the speech bubbles point at things that were outside the panels.
Todd McFarlane's writing was always a little off. Definitely.
And Mark Silvester's Cyber Force #1, it was okay. It was not something it was that good, but Jim Lee, Wildcats #1 has a lot of cool scenes, but there are some Jim Lee-isms, like the double page spread, which is where you have to flip the comic, where Zealot is introduced. So Zealot's voice appears in the previous page. Zealot's voice appears in the previous page. Addressing not Gambit, Grifter. So it looks like I have to pull your one of those lines. Looks like I have to pull your ass out of the fire again. It looks like you came out just in time for us to have finished the battle. And then you have the double page spread flipped like it's a poster.
That's like the ultimate expression of cool drawing storytelling. It's making you turn the whole.
Even though the battle is over, Zealot is posing with the sword for no reason whatsoever.
Because it's a cool drawing.
It's a cool drawing, but there's no reason for it to be
like this. That's what they're building the whole story around. It doesn't work all the time. You're 100% right. Sometimes it takes you out of the moment. Sometimes it makes the moment. Turning the whole comic is the ultimate cool drawing storytelling. It's like This drawing is so cool. It's gotta be sideways, and I gotta bring your tie. Oh, that drives me bonkers.
Yeah. It makes it interactive.
Ah,
The rule
it
of
takes me
cool.
right out of the comic. I just saw one of my comics just did that recently. I was like, oh.
Of course, looking back, also Wildcats #1 has the best universe. Even from there, you can tell that Wildcats is everything in the story is better than everything in everybody else's story. Even though the best story to read is Savage Dragon, but the Savage Dragon #1 does not have all those cool homages to what comic books are supposed to be that you eventually get as you keep reading more Savage Dragon. That thing is a very bleak world where where super people are killing each other all the time and blowing up Chicago, and all the civilians are suffering because of it. And you don't get the civilians dying in Wildcats #1 because it's a bunch of superpowered aliens fighting other superpowered aliens and then posing for the splash page.
See, Sleepy's got some comments, but first, Iron Zero is telling us that Scott Koblish has drawing a new book starting in September, The Big Shakedown from Dark Horse. I have not heard or seen that yet. It'll go on my pull list. Then there's this. Sleepy says, I thought splash pages sold for a lot more to OG Art Collect. Yes, they did. I think that was part of that storytelling too. I remember Mike Teixeira telling me he liked to put something on each page for the original art collectors. So I think that was part of cool drawing storytelling. Just get as many cool drawings in there as you can.
Oh, yeah.
I think writers took back some control by going full script. It worked well for them. The writers are now the stars. See, I think they were the stars. Are the writers still the stars? Is there a writer whose name moves the needle?
I always felt that the writers were always treated as the stars, because that's the person that usually, if a book is late, it's because of the writer. The writer took way too long.
Alan Moore was the first star writer. His name made back issue prices go up and sold comics. Bendis was maybe the next star. Well, there was other star writers, but Bendis was like one of the first of the new generation of star writers. But I don't think writers' names move a book anymore. I think there was a day, I don't know when it ended. It's not that people don't follow certain writers. I just think that
it ended the last time Marvel and DC rebooted their universes, because now everything now is an event. It's the only thing that they sell is the event.
Like Absolute Batman, who writes it?
I have no idea.
Nobody cares. I know who writes it. I've heard. I can't remember his name. Big writer, but nobody cares about him writing Absolute Batman. They care that they like Absolute Batman. And they care that Nick Dragotta has drawn a cool Batman.
I think I know what happened to take the writer out of the equation was the failure of having a successful product built around the X-Men Krakoa era, which made people not interested in because the story was writer based,
right? And then they put him in charge of all the X-Men.
Yeah, and it didn't work.
What was his name?
The guy who did.
Also, I got his name on the tip of my tongue.
Yeah,
Richardson. What is it?
Where's my?
All of a sudden, I can't remember his name. I can almost picture it.
Where's my Fantastic Fours with the?
I think the era of the star writer is over.
Yeah, and then Tom King, because all of us, Tom King went from the super bestest writer ever to I can't believe they're letting this guy write another page. So people don't trust writers anymore. Yeah.
Slim says, yes, the writers move the needle at DC all the time now. They made a big deal when fractioning. They made a big deal, but no one cares about that.
Yeah, they made a big deal when
they care about the absolute Batman.
Yeah, they made a big deal when Bendis went to DC, and it didn't reach the. It was the first
Hickman.
Bendis issue. Hickman, yeah, Jonathan
Yeah,
Hickman,
but
yeah,
it ultimately failed halfway
yeah,
through. It
yeah.
stopped them. But I think it's what Paolo said, the reboots. I'm not saying writers don't matter and there are not still star writers. I'm saying they don't have the power they once had.
Mhm.
It used to be you could put Scott Snyder on a book and it would sell, but that book's not Batman. What's a Scott Snyder book going to sell? People always say it's Rick Remender comic. Yeah, they will still refer to them as
Yeah,
writers' comic. I'm not saying they don't.
right. But
I'm
Rick
just
Remender, Ed Brubaker, they are if they are famous now, it's for stuff they do outside the big two. So it's like when Frank Miller left the big two to do his own stuff, people became Frank Miller fans, or they became Mike Mignola fans with Hellboy. And it's the same thing with Ed Brubaker. They're following Brubaker in whatever it is that he's doing right now.
the
But
X-Men floundered as Hickman pulled out. Yeah,
yeah.
the X-Men floundered with Hickman, right? The stuff happened. My friend Rob liked a lot of that X-Men era, so I don't think it was all terrible. But
But if you put them on Marvel and DC, it doesn't work. And the first time it happened, it wasn't even because of Hickman. Hickman made people distrust. But the first time it happened was Bendis moved to DC, and Bendis' first #1 was not the top-selling DC comic that month. So Bendis was not selling anymore.
yeah, I find it funny that nobody cares about this new, was it Matt Fraction Batman he just said?
Hmm.
It's like a new Batman #1 came out the same time as Absolute Batman #1, and I've never heard, everybody loves Absolute Batman. I never hear regular Batman be mentioned. That's so funny. And Sleepy was asking, have I done a video on this subject, Jared, with art on the screen? That's with the cool drawing story. I don't think I have. I'll have to put that in the old notebook. See if I can give an example of it. Yeah, there are still. I think Nick Dragotta is a bigger star on Absolute Batman than the writer is, whose name I don't know.
Yeah, I don't disagree with that assessment because
Hoxpox by Hickman was huge. What's Hoxpox?
House of X, Powers of X, it was the X-Men storyline in
Okay.
Krakoa.
Well, that one. It was huge at the beginning, but it petered out really quickly.
Yeah, by the end of year 1.
And it didn't help that he was accused of ripping off the whole idea from that writer.
Yeah.
So I think all this.
noticed. I don't. That came afterward. I don't think people actually noticed.
People noticed right away.
What,
That came out right away. The first issue came out, and people were accusing him of ripping that off from that writer.
but all the other writers were not interested in doing Krakoa stories.
Right. I think that's another problem with that run. Not that I read it. I don't know anything about it creatively, but I know that when I heard that Hickman was going to be in charge of all the other writers, I knew that wasn't going to work. Because why would Robert Hickman want to be the bad guy to a bunch of fellow writers? Have to tell them, no, you can't do that. And as I've said before, as soon as you have some sort of reboot or reconcept, the writers want to subvert it. So as soon as you tell the writers you have to follow Hickman's lead on all the X-Men books, they want to subvert, at least some of them want to subvert it. And then Hickman has to be the bad guy and tell them no? That's not going to happen.
No, that's the editor's job.
Yeah, that's the editor's job.
But the editor was the guy with the ukulele, and the guy with the ukulele was an editor who wanted to be friends with the professionals. You're the editor. You can't be their friend. You are their boss.
Yeah, so I knew that was gonna be nothing but trouble. But like I said, my friend Rob said a lot of that era was pretty good, and the writers weren't following him. And so he's like, there was one particular X-Men book he liked of that era, and he was like, and it has nothing to do with the Krakoa stuff. But I don't know what it is. Like I said, my friend Rob is who I get all my mainstream stuff from, what he likes or doesn't like, and he tells me what's going on. So I generally know from his opinion what if something is, if he tells me something's pretty good, it's generally pretty good. But yeah, I just think I think the reboots are more important now than the writers. Well, I've never seen comics promoted with the artist over a writer. So, yeah, I mean, you're not wrong.
Also, there's another thing.
Except for Nick Dragotta, and except for cover artists, and I just don't. They're promoted with the writer. I just don't think fans are buying it for the writer anymore.
Sure. But as for the artist, they have no way to guarantee that an artist will be able to deliver a full story arc.
Yeah.
They're going to need even by issue number 3 or 4. They're going to need help. There's going to even if they somehow manage to have their art in all the comics month in month out, there's going to be 4 pages that are going to be done by somebody else, like what happened in Rem V's New Gods, because they always had a segment that was not drawn by the main artist, and they usually try to do either a side plot with the bad guys, or they were doing.
Yeah,
or they were doing a flashback scene, which kind of makes sense. See, let's do a flashback scene and it has a different artist, because at least it.
Are there any star writers left at Marvel?
I don't know.
I don't either.
Who's the guy writing Avengers now? Even I have forgotten. I used to know. Let me check the Pirates.
I have no doubt Marvel and DC still want the writers to be stars and have their names move comics. I just don't think they do.
Mm-hmm.
And the only artist I've seen become a star recently is Nick Dragotta because of Ultimate Batman. And it's the fans who think he's a star, not DC. I don't think DC cares. Besides saying...
Yeah, well, now they
Ram versus New Guys. I still think they're identified by the writer. We're not saying we're not saying the writers are not still who Marvel and DC are promoting. I'm just saying I don't think they move the needle.
Yeah, right now I think they got Al Ewing. Hickman's doing a Spider-Man story, but it's not the ongoing. Benjamin Percy, man, if you're relying on Benjamin Percy for sales, forget it.
Yeah, it's still easier to market by writers.
Sure.
Because they do more work and have more free time.
I mean, I didn't even remember Joe Kelly was doing Amazing Spider-Man, and Joe Kelly's probably the only one there who knows how to write.
But Joe Kelly's not a star writer, right? His name
not anymore. Not anymore.
No.
He should be, but he's not anymore. 25 years ago, of course he was. Is there a new Sentry series? Oh my god! Why? Yeah, but it's Al Ewing, I think, is the only star writer. Where's the Avengers? Chip Zdarsky is doing Avengers, yeah. And something McKay who's doing X-Men. So I think those are the biggest names that they have right now. Yeah, but I mean, the thing is, you also can't do runs. You can't remember this is the run that they did for 3.5 years, and it was a good run, because they don't have the comic doesn't last 3.5 years anymore. And they do 6 issues of volume 26, and then they do 8 issues of volume 27, and you have no idea what you're collecting.
Mm-hmm. So we have no ideas either of how Marvel can up their writing game.
Well, I would cancel 80% of their books first, so that you can.
Yeah, that'll put them out of business.
But it is what they need to do. They need a short burst of focused product on core brands and one comic per character.
Marvel has never done that in their history. Flood the market. That's the Marvel way.
Yes. Thank you, Martin Goodman.
Focus on core branding? No. We're going to brand everything. I'm just saying the shift to full scripts led to writers being the big dog. Yeah, definitely. I think so. Marvel probably needs to up their editing philosophy. Yeah, I'm not sure they have an editing philosophy.
Yeah. The editors right now are traffic managers.
Who's Marvel's editor in chief? CB?
No, not anymore. Wait, is it still CB?
I'm 100% certain he's got no editing
still,
philosophy.
It's still CB.
I don't think anybody's in charge because they fired. I think Jordan Ward was one of the persons they fired. So I'm not sure anybody's in charge.
Yeah, I don't know. But I'm pretty sure CB has never had an editing philosophy. That's
no,
not
because he didn't know how.
What was that?
He didn't know how. His idea was to go look for the person to do this, but that's not an editing philosophy.
Right.
Editing philosophy is this character needs to go to be like this for now.
Right.
And then you can go around, but there's a line like this, you can go around the line. And that's an editing philosophy.
Mm-hmm.
Or you can tell, now we're all doing done-in-one stories. Or now all of the stories need to wrap up in 4 issues so we can do cheap trade paperbacks. You write 24. Okay, you write 24 comics, and then we do so that we can do the omnibus, and it reads like one story. You have to do something like that, but that's not what they're doing. Is okay, let's do an event, and as soon as that event starts, they're already promoting the next event, which starts before this one ends, and let's do blind bags, and let's do 25 variant covers.
Blind bags. That's our philosophy. Let's see. Let me pull out another comic. Where's one that was well written? We have Dog Tag. I like this one a lot again. Mad Cave. Mark Russell, writer. P.J. Holden, pencils, inks. Jim Jordan, colors. And Buddy Bedouin, letterer. This is the one that's a World War II story. We're at D+3, and the guy who's a journalist is now leading a team of infantry through France, and he's like, I'm a journalist. What am I doing leading a team of infantry through? And it's good World War II. They come into... Hey, Chris has entered the studio. Look who it is. Hello there, Chris.
Welcome back.
Hey, Chris. Welcome back.
Their problem is they capture a 15-year-old sniper. And usually what they do, you're not supposed to execute people, but the soldiers' unwritten rule is they kill the snipers. But they captured this one. They're like, headquarters doesn't want us sending a sniper back. So that's their problem. They don't want to, especially, the journalist leader doesn't want to kill a 15-year-old sniper. So that was their problem in this issue. But good series, good war story. And how have you been doing, Chris? Back from on
the road.
Yeah.
Shows.
Just had Heroes Con last weekend.
Yeah.
It was weird, wild stuff.
Did you see some Cavern of Chaos watchers? I think one said he was going to go see you.
Yes. He came by, name dropped Jared.
Yeah. That's Iron Zero here. He was here earlier. All of a sudden, Eric? Is that his real name?
Eric, yeah.
Yes.
Did you just dox him?
No. He used to be. When YouTube stopped letting you add your screen name to the chat, because instead it replaced by the registry names, and made it harder for people to be identified.
Okay.
So how was what was the highlight of the Comic-Con for you?
The convention was good.
What was your favorite moment?
Cavern of Chaos.
Oh, look, Sean Chen just dropped by.
Sean, welcome.
Hey guys, where's Julio? I don't know. Julio doesn't show up here. He's in his own world, Julio.
On the other side of the world, I believe.
No, he's in Colorado.
Oh, I think last I heard he was in Japan.
That was a while ago. He's
Did you
been in
just are you
Colorado since
Are you
then.
doxing him, bro?
No, not at all. We're just naming places he's been
Did I
to.
just sign on to the Doxcast?
Well, Sean Chen's got his own name, unless it's Sean Chen 1640. Who's the
I'm not talking about Sean. I'm talking about the guy who you're telling everybody where he lives on the globe. Trying to pinpoint his geographic coordinates.
Colorado. That I narrowed it down to the Rocky Mountains.
Well, you could have just said, yeah, he's in Japan.
He might not even be in Colorado. I could be wrong. Nice to see Chris. He told me at Heroes he's going to try and make it this week. All right.
I'm a man of my word.
And here he is. Dun, dun, dun. So what was the highlight of the con for you? Meeting Iron Zero?
Meeting Iron Zero and hanging out with Jacob and Greg.
Jacob and Greg. How are those two doing?
They're great.
Greg's in Atlanta now? I'm doxing him.
Yeah.
What are you doxing him, bro? Are you doxing him, bro? He's somewhere in the United States, I believe. Jacob is still somewhere on this planet.
All right. He's on Earth. You'll narrow it down to that.
They're on Earth.
Because if he was on the moon, you'd be doxing him, right? Saying he's on the moon.
Exactly. Let's see. What else? I don't know. Conventions are always a whirlwind. It's what it is, a lot of stress. Just trying to draw and manage conversation with, as people come to the table. So,
were you drawing 4 people?
I was drawing four people.
Okay.
Wait, hang on just a second. I got to take this call.
He's got to take this call. But meanwhile, I'll show you another comic because a new issue of Concrete came out.
Ooh. That's exciting.
There hasn't been an issue of Concrete in a long time, and it was beautiful. Last we knew, Concrete had a kid somehow. So the kid is like in an incubator of some kind, like a concrete kid. And he and his 2 friends, whose names I forget after all these years, the same 2 who have been with him, the man and the woman. What are their names? I have no idea. The blonde guy. Whoops, and there's the woman. And I gotta say, it was a nice, peaceful issue. They're driving through the desert. They stop at a sand dune national park. And I could have read the whole issue with nothing going on. Something weird happens at the end. But Maureen and Larry, there are their names by James Gildersleeve. I could have read the whole issue of them just wandering through the park. It was so peaceful, so visual, so nicely done. But then Concrete sort of disappears at the end for some weird reason. I think they're going to be having to find Concrete or something in the park. But we'll see what happens. But it reminded me of what are those Japanese comics called? Where
manga. They call them manga, Jared.
Where there's the one of the guy walking around the city. And that's all he's doing. He's walking around the city, showing you his neighborhood. And they've got a specific name for them besides manga.
Well, anime is when it's animated.
That's when it's moving. And it was kind of like that. They were just walking around the park. And it was really nice. I'm glad to see some of Paul Chadwick's Concrete back. And I really enjoyed this first issue. Maureen and Larry. Was Sean Chen at the con? Did you run into him?
I didn't run into him. if he was there. I don't know. I don't even know if he was there. There's a lot of people there that I wanted to see and would walk by their tables and they weren't there. But and then you have to kind of get back to business, and
he was not.
Turns out he was not there. So
I'm going to New York Comic Con this year. I got a professional badge as an educator and actually paid for my tickets. I haven't been to New York Comic Con in a long time.
Guess who else is going?
Sean is on assignment. He's drawing a Star Wars one-shot.
Oh,
right.
okay.
Yeah.
Very
Is
cool.
it about Grogu? It's not about Grogu. It's probably about like Dr. Afra or something.
Will you be going to New York Comic Con, Chris?
Yes.
All right. I'll get to see you there.
Yes.
I'll be sitting at your table with you because, I'll probably have nothing to do but socialize.
Let's just say it's not my table to sit at.
I don't care.
Yeah.
Well, if there's not an extra chair for you.
Oh, you'll give me your chair. I'll knock you right off it and say, "Hey, get off that chair!" Like a big bully I am.
I guess I gotta start training for combat for New York Comic Con now.
I can hear Eye of the Tiger playing right now in this training montage.
Because drawing isn't hard enough. Drawing and holding a conversation, that's not hard enough for me. Now I need to enter one-on-one combat.
He'll be drawing with 5-pound weights hanging off his hand. Rising up, back on the street, did my time.
Were you inspired by the White House UFC event? Is that why you're all excited to just like fight people now?
Got me all ramped up to fight.
You saw that, and you finally understood what it means to be a real patriot.
Yep. Fighting on the White House lawn. That'll make me a man. I know it now. Rising up, back on the street. So what have you been working on besides... You're coming for Wilson again.
Did you dox him earlier, and now they're showing up to get him?
Yes. I told the cops exactly where to go to get him. So they're there. Fire department too.
Dangerous fellow, that Wilson. We hear he's a comic book artist.
So what have you been working on besides? We just found out Scott Koblish is going to be having a new comic coming out in September from Dark Horse. I did not hear it from him. I heard it from one of our commenters.
And we got to get him on so we can revisit the chain conversation.
I can still hear you saying, "You'll never break the chain." But now people just draw chains with Photoshop brushes. So it all doesn't matter anymore.
Now they're just going to use AI to make chains.
Photoshop brushes.
It'll be the best AI you've ever seen, best chains you've ever seen.
Let me show you another comic. We've got The Beauty, issue number 6, our Jeremy Juan cover. And he's also the writer. This has been good. We get to find out in this issue. I don't know if I still haven't seen the TV show, so I don't know if this volume connects more with the TV show, but it's been a bit more action-oriented. And we find out from this old guy here who's 80 but doesn't look it because he's got the beauty. The beauty is an STD that makes you beautiful, that the beauty was bioengineered at some point. And some of the guys behind it know that, and we found this out in volume 1, that because originally people would get the beauty and they'd want it because it's an SDT that makes you beautiful. But then they found out like 3 or 4 years later, you burst into flames and die. And that was just first happening in the first volume. But now we find out a little bit behind it, and it's been a good. I still haven't bothered to watch the TV show to see if it ties in with it, but I'll have to do that one of these times. Let's see, Sean. What's the name of the other guy back at Marvel who is the other milk dud, not Julio? That is Raphael. Raphael Richer.
There's
The
Milk
Milk
Duds fans here.
What was that?
I can't believe there's Milk Duds fans here.
Yeah. Sean Chen is I guess he's a Milk Duds fan. Somewhere I have a picture of it.
I didn't know that was Sean saying that. Okay.
That was Sean saying that, yeah.
Right, now that makes sense. He would know.
I have not heard from Raphael in ages. Occasionally he would pop up on Facebook. He was one of the true characters who worked at Marvel. I'd tell you where he's from, but I'd be accused of doxing him.
Yeah, you don't want to dox him.
I don't know where he is, but, Raphael. Who always... I'm with him now. One of Raphael... This is in like the early 2000s when movie trailers were sort of released all the time, especially to the QuickTime, to the Apple site. So it's like that was prime time for watching. It was before YouTube, but you could watch movie trailers on Apple. And he would spend half his day watching movie trailers. And that's what he wanted to make, not movies. He wanted to make movie trailers. So I got this great idea for a trailer. He never had any aspiration to make movies, but he had an aspiration to make movie trailers. I was always like, that's the craziest thing ever. Now I'm like, I get it. Trailers are better than the movies. I got some ideas for movie trailers too, but I don't want to make the movie. It's too much. I want to make a good trailer.
Look, in the automotive industry, there are guys who actually want to design the dashboards.
Yeah, that's their thing.
Yeah. They're the interior designers of the automotive industry.
That's where their passion is.
Mm-hmm.
Dashboards.
This is where the ashtray goes, and this is where the clock goes.
Do cars still have ashtrays?
Most don't.
Most don't. Smoking has gone away.
Yep.
And
another comic I got this week.
They still put lighters in them.
Yeah, it's still lighters because you need the electricity.
Mm.
That's like the electrical hub of a car. No one uses it as a lighter, but everybody uses it to plug in. They could probably just put a plug there, but
Well, nowadays they have like 12 USB ports. Yeah.
Babs, The Black Road South. Garth Ennis, Jason Burrows. Jason spelled Jacen. And this is a comedy barbarian story. They're on this quest in a dark place. But I've been buying Garth Ennis and Jason Burrows stuff for a little while now. So I generally enjoy their stuff no matter what. This is probably the 4th or 5th miniseries I've gotten by these two. So it's always good. Another good, what issue are we on? 4? This is going 5 or 6. I don't know. I was like all these comics today go 5 or 6 issues. Like when it ends, it ends. Oh, here's a line for you, Chris, from Tit Goblin. Hey, computer, stop all the trailer download.
Stop all the download.
My friend Rob was just rediscovering all those last week. He was telling me about them. He was giggling all over again at the comic shop this week. It's like, I went back and watched all those public service announcements. I was like, you have no idea how many times I heard those public service announcements. Endless times.
You can always hear it again. There's always some new nuance to discover and appreciate.
Yeah, what I do a lot nowadays is watch reels of DJs playing bits of 1990s house music. Do you remember this from 1990? This banger from 1996? Well, yeah, you're choosing all the ones that still play on the radio. Gala Freed from Desire. That was not big in the US, was it? There was a time when American dance music producers were better known in Europe than they were. Whoops, Jared fell off.
Uh-oh.
American. Yeah. the computer was downloading a trailer.
Could be.
Maybe.
Don't worry, Jared. We will never give you up, and we will never let you down.
It's like
Maybe there's no electricity there.
no sound when Jared isn't on.
Uh-huh. Well, now that asshole's gone.
Oh.
It was my turn to say.
Jared sent a message on Facebook. My internet went down mid-sentence. He's waiting to see if it will come back.
Is there any other way for the internet to go down? Isn't he always mid-sentence?
I don't know. Sometimes I tune him out. So I'm not too sure. So this week's Toy Biz Revisited, I got a box of action figures.
Mm-hmm.
Go through some of them. We got a new Sabretooth.
Hey, that's a nice saber tooth.
It's actually the better looking ones of them. Completed Omega Red. And when I did the unboxing, I completely forgot this character's name. The better looking Archangel.
Mm-hmm. With the mullet.
Definitely with the mullet.
The arch mullet.
A frogman that was part of a Savage Land set.
Yes. What was the guy's name? I used to know the name of all the Savage Land mutates. No, I don't.
Yeah, I think it just popped up as like Frogman.
I think it was Amphibious.
Amphibious?
It was probably yeah.
Yeah, that sounds correct.
Yeah, all of them had very obvious names.
Another Sabretooth. This is an ugly one.
That looks like it used to be from a WWF.
It could well have been, because they eventually do paint his hair black and they make him Wolverine. So, Toy Biz was really good at just reusing and repainting.
That was probably Andre the Giant.
That I am not too sure. Quicksilver.
Uh-huh.
Who's really Spider-Man's body and it's Quicksilver's head. But the body they reused was Spider-Man. Jared, you're back.
My internet came back. It went down mid-sentence. I have no idea what I was saying. Uh-oh. Now's my chance to try and convert Chris into watching the drawing documentary Secret City by Mark Kistler. He's trying to get us all to watch that documentary. None of us have yet.
Well, I can't watch Tubi in Europe.
Sure, blame it on Europe.
Well, this is it's communist. It's communist country. We're not allowed to have all the cool stuff.
Communist country. That's still a thing? I thought
It,
that
it
was
was
done.
either watch Tubi or have free healthcare. They chose free healthcare.
Ah.
Let's see. The last comic I got for the week was Super Creep Show with this.
Days of Future Past
There you go.
top cover.
I've been enjoying this series. Nice little 10-page, couple of 10-page horror stories each issue. Super means they're superhero-based ones. He taught millions of American school children how to draw chains. Is that Mark Kistler?
Looks like it.
Should I try melting one of these strings before we go? See what
Do you
happens?
have a fire extinguisher
You
nearby just in case?
You've been wanting to do that since the beginning of the show.
I may as well try now.
He's been wanting to set a fire.
Yeah. Jared didn't start the fire. It was always burning.
I can't tell.
That's a
Yeah,
lot.
we'll see. We'll let it
That's a
cool
lot.
off.
It's a lot less spectacular than I was hoping for.
But it was wax, so it wasn't like he was putting it on something that was highly flammable.
Yeah, wax isn't even flammable. It's just going to melt a little.
Yeah.
And besides, I'm going to have to melt them all a little and then see if over time they come off or not.
And it wasn't like he spread rubber cement on it and forgot about it before he lit it up. So
See that? Yeah, I can't even retie this knot. I have to put more string in because I cut the ends, so it's too short. Here's all my bookbinding needles.
So are they just really large sewing needles?
Really large steel needles. A little too large. I had to get another steel needle that was a little smaller. Then I got these little scissors that work pretty well for cutting this stuff.
Oh, okay.
It came with the bookbinding kit too, along with this awl, which punches holes in things, but I use my drill.
I saw someone using a drill and was like, oh, yeah, that would work, wouldn't it?
A lot easier than trying to
think
punch
about it.
through all those pages. There we go. And we get that. We get the drilled hole already in here, so it should slide right through. Oh, we only want to get one side through, so there we go. Now we tie a square knot, which is left over right, right over left.
They taught us in the Boy Scouts.
Yep, one of the simplest knots out there. Not a granny knot. A granny knot is left over left, left over right, left over right. That gets you a granny knot. That'll slip more. Then we cut the long edges, and we're good to go. Now, here's what we'll do. We got our fire. Whoops, that one's... How to adjust the knot, so I was out of luck. Tonight on the Cavern of Fire, I forgot how to use a match. I haven't used them in so long. Got to tilt them upside down so there's more wood to burn. Got to go like that. Oh, maybe a little too fast. There we go. We'll see if that keeps them on. Now it smells like burnt wood in here. And I need a pin cushion too, because I never got these. Are always just lying on my desk, and I lose them. Like, where'd it go?
Can I get one of those little ones that look like a tomato that has a slight little strawberry on the side?
Yep.
The strawberry is how you sharpen them.
Yep. It's like got sand in it or something.
Something like that. Yeah, I never opened one up, but you always kind of felt it was like because my mom did a lot of sewing, and so we always had one in the house. But I never knew that you would use that to sharpen the needles until again TikTok.
Tonight on Sewing Talk.
And I even sold something today, so it's like.
By the way, Chris, that's been my project for the last few weeks. I'm learning to bind books. Today, I got one of my pork chop sandwich fire.
I can't believe you didn't already know how to bind books.
I know. Can you believe it? That should have been in my repertoire years ago.
That's what I'm saying.
Show them your poetry books.
Well, once again, Wilson and I are on the same TikTok algorithm, so he saw the same woman showing how to upscale hardcover books into sketchbooks. So that's what I've been trying to do. But I also, since I have to take the pages out, I decided to make a blackout poetry book. You have to look this way to see. So this is a book that's got pieces. This is actual pages cut from books, and you can make your own blackout poetry out of it. I'm going to have to go to literary fairs.
You're going to have to.
Yeah. Something to do. Pork chop sandwiches.
Pork chop sandwiches.
Now I'm hot.
Well, yeah, because you've been around fire this whole time.
I'm literally sweating all of a sudden. I'm like, what? A little bit of fire and I'm getting verklempt. Gotta have a little water.
Oh, to answer your question on TikTok, Jared, I do not believe there is a way to open up and replace the flint to that Magneto toy. So on TikTok, I did an unboxing and I have a Magneto toy that if you press the button on the back, it sparkles in the front. It's a flint.
It's got to be a flint. That's what I was thinking. What else?
They were because I have other toys that are like that from Toy Biz of the time. There's a Human Torch where you pull a cord and it moves the flint inside. And Spider-Man's like that, and Electro, Captain America. So for a little run, everyone came. All the figures came with some sort of flint within it. And the Magneto one, there's a contraption in the back for it. But again, there's just no way to take it apart. Once the toy was put together, it's also like their early toys that lit up. They put it together and they glued everything, and there was no way to change the battery. It wasn't until about a year or two later where they realized we should probably make it where the people can change the batteries on them. But that first run, once the battery was gone, it was gone.
Yeah, because I was thinking it probably uses some sort of standard like Zippo flint. Mm-hmm. In case you don't know, you can buy like flints for Zippo lighters, and they're like these tiny little cylinders.
Yeah.
And if you can get it, you have to experiment on one, see if you can cut it open somehow.
Yeah,
see what mechanism it is.
I have another one. So that one, when I did the unboxing, a little later, I was able to play around with it and get that to work a few times.
Okay, I saw it worked a couple times. But.
Right. So I have another one that completely doesn't work at all. And you can even feel how loose it is. So that one I might experiment to see if I could open it up.
Yeah, because I'm sure there's a smoke shop near you somewhere that has Zippo flints.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure I could find that.
But, Tit Goblin asked, does Chris have the same Magneto toy?
Which as what?
The one that sparks in his chest.
Yes. Do you want me to get it? Do you want me to
Yeah,
get it?
sure. We'll see it.
Yeah.
Does it still spark? We'll send Chris on a mission. Why not?
Yeah, I was looking for it because I thought I had it in here, but I don't think I must have brought it into the other room.
There we go. Two
Yes.
different ones. Let's get them big so we can.
All right. The lever's busted,
Uh-oh.
Oh,
so I gotta use something to dig in there. To get access to it. I don't think it's gonna happen. Can't get in there. Wait a minute. One more idea.
He'll try one more thing. Nope. He needs a new one.
Yeah, the lever's busted on the back,
Okay.
so there's no way to get leverage on it.
Let's see. Did Wilson go get his?
I went to go look, but I did not see it.
You lost it already?
I did just sell one in a combo pack that was functioning perfectly.
By combo pack, you mean one packaged with a comic book cover, a sketch cover?
Yes.
Cool. I can't believe Wilson lost his already. He just made a video like 2 days ago.
I was moving figures around. I mean, I have I have Magnetos if you want to see Magnetos.
You don't want him to dox his Magneto.
Yeah, I was moving boxes around, so again, I just happened to get a whole bunch of figures this week. So I was kind of moving things around to see what I have, because I have a lot of their accessories as well. I've been marrying characters together. It's like, oh, I have this helmet, I can complete this character, that character. So, like doing a 3D puzzle.
A 3D puzzle.
So, yeah, once I find the two other Magnetos, the one that I got, and then the one that kind of works, I'll do a video with them to show the sparkles.
You'll show us next week. Next week? I still have all my Star Slayers out to read, too. I haven't put them away yet. They're still all sitting here, 1 through 19. So I haven't pretended it's 1983. That's why I have to stop reading that Grant Morrison X-Men, because I want to read Star Slayer.
And I've been rereading The Dark Age this time. Let's see if I can finish it. I'm doing an article at a time. There's a lot of Batman stuff here. I think the writer likes Batman. I did like the page about Will Murray.
Tit Goblin says the real Magneto toy is the Bendums.
Yeah.
You sent Chris on a mission to get a Bendum? He's back. He is back. By the way, I put up that Michael Golden X-Men Unlimited cover in one of my. I really like that cover, I gotta say. I didn't realize how much I liked that cover until I got it and just had it lying around. Paperclip? The paperclip sticks to his chest.
And they stick to his hands too.
Sticks to his hands?
Yep. Both hands have the magnet.
Ooh, look at that. He's the master of magnetism.
So he came with accessories that were called fragments of asteroid M, and they were these little pieces of plastic with little pieces of metal on them.
Did they ever make an actual asteroid M?
No, they did not make a playset for Magneto. They made a Danger Room playset.
How long was Magneto in Asteroid M?
I think it had a couple of different incarnations.
Yeah.
So I am not too sure how long was he like up there.
Because like that island, what's the name of that island again that the mutants live on?
Krakoa?
Krakoa. That probably negated the use for Asteroid M most of the time because they could hang out on that island.
Yeah. The
Also, at some point it fell too. So
of course,
you know,
why wouldn't it?
I think X-Men versus Avengers dealt with the aftermath of it falling.
Well, he had a new asteroid M when in Jim Lee's X-Men #1, and he still has that asteroid M when he pulls out Wolverine's adamantium through his skin. And then I don't know.
Next week, a deep dive on the history of Asteroid M. Well, we should let Paolo get to bed.
That's right.
We'll be on Paolo's channel next week. Some balloons.
Sounds cool.
Get some lasers going. Woohoo!
More conversation on how awesome the Phantom is.
An awesome Phantom conversation. All right. That sounds like something. Hold on. We'll check my knots. I can't tell if they're melted together or not. They might be. They don't seem to be moving anywhere. I'll let you know. We'll report next week on how that bookbinding with the knots came out. All right. So everyone have a good week out there.
Take care, everybody.
Next time.
See ya.
Ooh.